all the other community facilities the council had closed down. They took back everything that had previously been stolen from them. And no longer did the people live ruled by fear.
Good evening and welcome to the Flip Shot Side. Tonight, my lovely co-host Richard and I have had invited a guest to the program, but he was unable to make it. We were supposed to debate September the 11th, 2001. There are many theories as to how and why this tragic event took place, but I think we all agree that it has shaped the world we all live in today. Since we don't have a guest today, we will be taking callers all night, so please Skype us at Bob's Backyard, or call us in on your landline. International calls is +44 161-2980-298, or if you're calling from Great Britain, you call 0161-2980-298. Sorry, I'm not so great with numbers in English. So welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you. Welcome as well. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great tonight. A little confused, though.
Yes, I'm a bit disappointed about Barry not showing up. I was so eager to debate him.
Yeah, we both did some preparation for the show, but maybe we can have another go at it at some other time.
Yeah.
So Shaw, Richard, I hear that you used to think that 9/11 was a government conspiracy?
Yes, indeed. That's not a part of my past that I'm very proud of. But yes, at a time, back when there was not a lot of questions that were answered, I did go a bit that way, yes.
And what was the one thing that made you think that way back then?
Well, I just thought this was really suspicious. The way the Bush administration used the tragedy to push their agenda was really, really suspicious. And since there were a lot of questions that were still not answered and that made the official story look kind of false, I guess that's how I came to that conclusion.
And what made you change your mind?
Well, actually, lots of things made me change my mind because I did a lot of research into it, and I've seen quite a lot of evidence that contradicted the claims I thought were true for a while. And mainly there's one book that I read called Flim Flam, written by James Randi. That book is about critical thinking, and that really, really taught me how to see things differently, I guess.
All right. So I read once that the one thing that indicates that you probably will believe in any given conspiracy theory is that you believe in another conspiracy theory. So
Right.
Were you prone to conspiracy theories at that point in your life?
Yes, I was. Well, I was very young, and I was just learning. I always loved history, so I was just learning about stuff like Freemasonry and other things like that. So yes, I was a bit into other conspiracy theories as well, but not as much as 9/11.
Right. Because 9/11 has something to it, doesn't it? It's quite magnificent for a conspiracy theory.
Yes, well, it was a huge event. I mean, by no means, it's something that changed the world, literally. So, it's hard to take in all at once. So I guess people have a way to cope with those things.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And let's recap. We lost our guest for this week, and would love to debate 9/11 with any of you listeners out there. So please do Skype Bob's Backyard if you're interested in debating Shaw on this topic. It would be a great pleasure.
Indeed.
So Shaw, is there any one thing that annoys you about conspiracy arguments regarding 9/11?
Well, honestly, what annoys me the most is the fact that whenever I debate someone who's a proponent of that theory, is that every time I will corner them about something, I will show them facts that might contradict their claim. They will simply jump to another claim, and they will like throw 11, 12 claims at you at once and just try to confuse the shit out of you to avoid admitting they're being wrong. And that's very, very conceited, and that annoys me. I'm not saying everyone does that, but I encountered a lot of people using this kind of tactic.
I see what you mean. I must admit, I don't know that much about 9/11. I did read up a bit, and I have debated a few closet truthers in the past.
Right.
It's not a speciality of mine. I totally lean on you for that. And I have to admit that my personal belief is that that 9/11 was not a government conspiracy, but that it was misused for agendas that were already in place before it happened. And I think that that's obviously a terrible thing, but I don't believe in a big government conspiracy. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, government is way too incompetent to pull this shit off anyway. And as you pointed out to me in a conversation earlier, why wouldn't it be simpler to just plant fake WMDs in Iraq? I mean, why such an elaborate plan?
Well, I think my point, or I know my point was more that if you wanted to pull something off like 9/11, which was a big elaborate scheme, if it's a government conspiracy, it would be weird that you would then go to Iraq and not find anything, and then have a defeat there. It would be a lot easier to plan weapons of mass destruction in Iraq than pulling off the whole 9/11 stunt.
Yes, totally. I couldn't agree more with that perspective. All right. Well, since we're still waiting for our guest, I'm just going to put up a song quickly. We're going to play a bit of music while I get a bit more prepared, if everyone is okay with that.
Sounds good.
Jacket like how? Screaming, how we gonna do this now? Boxing, how we gonna fight this bout? Straight to the side and drop. Whack a wire right to the cop. Straight man back for the cop. That's right into the shop. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. And if you want, we can do this now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. And if you want, we can do this now. Say it right now. See what you think we can do this now. We believe it. I won't excuse it now. Man, what you say, oh, defend this crowd. Impossible when you start making bow. Don't know us, man, wow. We like your ball. We start telling us, man, how. Myth, never get us run down. Say what you want, say what you can. Got a big mouth, I doubt your man. Got a problem, see me on your ones. Not good if you ride out in a gang. Say what you want, say what you can. Make a boy jump on the place in Japan. On the motorway, ringing out to my guy. So say what you want, or don't be a man. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. And if you want, we can do this now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. Have you got time today? Say it right now. And if you want, we can do this now. Busting them up from the first base. Been a long game, been a long time. Now that I write 1 million lines, hold this way 1 billion times. It's just me, there's no other kind of stay. You can stand there, take it straight. Got no game over there. This guy's hyping me up. Gas, trying to say all this stuff. Hoping I say what I don't, and I say it's I don't. You know what? I don't care. Try to diss me. I don't care. When they snake me. I don't care. Try to surprise my. I don't care. Have you got time to say? Say right now. Have you got time to say? Say right now. Have you got time to say? Say right now. And if you want, we can do this now. Have you got time to say? Say right now. Have you got time to say? Say right now. Have you got time to say? Say right now. And if you want, we can do this now. I know this, I know. Stand fast, stay.
And we're back live. So
Yes, great.
I've had a few people in the chat asking questions while we were playing music, which is good. It's going to give us something to talk about. So our friend CKA Simon here was asking about the people who were involved in the attacks being trained by the CIA. So I assume he's talking about the CIA financing the Mujahideen in Afghanistan during the 80s when they fought against the Soviets. But I would just like to point out that Osama bin Laden was not actually on any CIA payroll, and that he was indeed part of that effort, but he was not directly paid by them, and he had no contact with CIA agents, at least not any documented contact. So that claim is a bit vague at best. You have any thoughts on that, Kit?
No, but there was something about them taking flight lessons. I don't know if that had anything to do with the CIA.
No, they didn't take flight lessons, but they did that on their own. Like while they, yeah. And actually, landing a plane is a lot easier than most people think.
Especially if you don't have to hit the runway.
Indeed. And,
so CTA Simon continues that his family is known to have affiliation with America.
Well, of course, his family is a business family. The Bin Laden family is one of the most wealthy construction families in the world. Most of them have a lot of strong links with the American private contractors. The thing that the conspiracy theorists won't mention, though, is that the Bin Laden family actually, I'm not sure I know the right English word for that, but they
disowned him, didn't they?
Yeah, they totally disowned him, and they did that like way before 9/11 attacks, like somewhere in the 80s when he started radicalizing himself. They completely disowned him, so his family has nothing to do with him. I'm sorry.
All right. So Dan says incorrect. Landing is the hardest part. Any pilot will tell you that.
Well, then I've seen video footage of people who were conspiracy theorists who had no experience whatsoever in actually driving a plane. They were given a 2-hour course on how to land a small plane. I will give you that. It was a smaller plane. But they were able to take off and land without any problem within 2 hours. So there's that.
Right. Well, there is the discrepancy also that they trained in smaller planes. I mean, a big airliner is not the same as a Cessna.
Well, yeah, there's clearly a difference, but I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, it clearly happened. Someone drove those planes into those buildings.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Let's just see in the chat here. Yeah, okay, they say sure, but it is easier to take off and fly. But that was sort of already done for them. So.
Indeed.
And we're still stalling for time. We're still waiting for you guys to. We're still waiting for you guys to call in and on Skype, Bob's Backyard, or the landline +44 161 290 0290 298. Sorry.
Yeah, I can play devil's advocate for you for a while if you like.
Sure, that works. You're welcome to.
I actually think 9/11 was an inside job from an American's perspective, of course. Of course, from my perspective, where I sit here in Manchester, United Kingdom, it was an outside job. And 7/7 could be seen to be an inside job for me. So that would be a geographical standpoint. However, the difference between the stall speeds of a jet liner, is that what they call them? Jet liners, are they? These great big...
I believe so, yeah.
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 And a training prop plane is fundamentally different.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, it's not definitive proof, but at least it shows that, I mean, someone had to drive those planes into the buildings.
Oh, yeah, someone did, yes. I wouldn't dispute that. Well, I suppose they could have been remotely flown. That is a very, I suppose it's a plausible answer, that there might have been no one on the planes.
Well,
It could have been flown by remotely flown.
yeah, but that would imply installing a lot of high-tech equipment on the plane. I mean, they did manage to...
No, not really. Not really, no.
I just like to finish, please. They did manage to build drones, but did you realize that those drones that are remote controlled are really small? Try doing the same on a very large plane, and I don't know of any technology that might...
Well, I can do it for you. I'm a toolmaker by trade, Richard.
Right.
And it wouldn't be that difficult to do. You're talking just fitting in servos, to move anything that... when you think as a pilot, what you'd actually move on a plane, how hard it is, how heavy the joystick could be, you're not actually moving, there's not a lot of force required to actually play. So you're not talking heavy equipment at all. And you're talking a few small electrical servos. It would work very similar to how you would fly a normal remote control plane. But of course, you'd need a few more controls, than just forward and up and down, right and left, but not many more. And I mean, and consider that the American forces were using joysticks to fly missiles at close quarters for a long time before 9/11. I mean, flying a plane or a missile that's plane-shaped into a building has been done by the United States all over the world.
Okay, well, let's assume it was remote controlled. Let's assume it was remote controlled. In that case, the hijackers who boarded the plane, why would they board a plane that they know is remote controlled and is going to land into a building? What's the use of having actual hijackers on it?
I was presuming there was no one on the plane. It was a presumption. I was just trying to...
What about the body parts they found everywhere, all over the place? They found body parts of...
All right. I was aware that some of the body parts were still intact.
Well, sure, the explosion is kind of, it propels shit away from it, so sure, some stuff will be intact. If you look at many explosions throughout history, they always find stuff that is intact.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just on the body parts, and are you of the mind that the plane that hit the Pentagon, that vaporized, basically? That's why they didn't find hardly any wreckage at all, or really, I mean, I know there was some wreckage, but
well,
substantial to an impact of an object the size of the one that they said hit it. There's one thing.
Well, it actually was. I'm sorry, sir. No, not two claims at once, please. I just like to try to keep it one claim at once if it's possible, because
Yes, certainly.
but the wreckage, they did find actually substantial wreckage at the Pentagon. I don't know where you get your information from, but they did find easily identifiable parts. And the most of the wreckage was actually inside the building, which is why you don't see it on the grass in front on some of the pictures that were published. But if you look at pictures that were taken from inside the building, you can see a lot of wreckage.
Just if you may, you're actually saying that the fuselage, both engines, went through the hole we could see, and they went inside the building, yeah?
No, not the engines, because clearly the engines were kind of ripped apart on impact.
Where did the impact? What did the impact? Where did the impact? If the fuselage is the hole, then where did the engine strike?
The engines are normally attached to the wings.
Yes, I know where they are. That's what I'm saying. Where did they strike? Where was their impact that shattered them into, and you know, pretty much, where was the point of impact?
Well, they actually found the point of impact was, when the plane collapsed into the building, the wings got ripped off due to the high speed.
Where did the engines impact? I'm asking for the impact. I know there's one impact point, but we're talking about 3 points of impact, aren't we? On that building, there would have been points of impact, unless, like you're saying, the wings folded up behind the plane and went through the hole, and maybe the engine.
No, the engines were actually found in front of the building. Those were outside of the building.
Oh, and there's photographs of those. Is there available?
Yes, they are.
Can you provide those for me? I've never seen them. I'd like to see those. I have seen a few small components, but I've seen an engine. I've stood by the side of one, and you know, there's a discrepancy there. And this inferno that actually is supposed to have took place, where were all the bodies?
There's a picture of the engines right here. I'm gonna post it in the chat as well.
Yeah, thank you. Like I say, I don't. Is that the picture of the engine? Is it? Have you ever seen an engine? Have you ever actually stood next to one?
Have you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I'm an engineer. I'm a toolmaker. That's what I was. Toolmaker, yeah.
Because that looks like a turbine to me.
Look at the size of the man stood at the side of it. There's a man stood in front of it. Can you not see unless that man is stood, 20, 30 foot away, and there's something wrong with that photograph, Richard. So, I mean, it's not, it's not big enough, bro.
So where did it come from?
Well, I have no idea where it come from. I'm not here. You're telling me that that's an engine off a great big skyship that hit the building. I'm just, like I say, I'm only playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, sure.
And to me, that is just go and check your mathematics. Go and get a tape measure. Unless that man could be 27 foot tall. But you see, I think we're jumping into the realms of fiction there. That'd be a ridiculous claim, wouldn't it? And that you could, it really would. And where are all the people? Where are all the bodies? Where's the pictures of the bodies? Where's the no bodies? I don't get that. You see, I've seen crash sites at Lockerbie, and I can't see one there. I haven't seen a crash site, a plane crash site. And I don't dispute that something hit something, and something happened. Something happened.
Clearly. I mean, I think we agree on that part.
Like you say, somebody flew the planes, but already, well, maybe not. You see, it's for a remote control plane to be being flown, I suppose is a bit of a leap, isn't it? Like you say, it might be people. Well, hang on a minute. It's just, where are the bodies? We haven't got enough bodies for a start, so we can just look at that and just discount it for a while, because there's no bodies. So, what happens if it it's a missile? What happens if it was a missile?
Well, I actually don't think it was because there was a lot of witnesses that saw the plane. I mean, the people who were on the road.
Thousands of witnesses, weren't there? And I mean, and thousands of video footage, hundreds of thousands of video footages. You know, I mean, here recently, we had a man who was killed in the street. A soldier was killed in the street, and there's loads of people with video. There's loads of video, all different directions. You know, and we're talking here, I mean, at the Pentagon, I mean, next to London, probably one of the most surveillanced areas in the world. Maybe even more than the Pentagon. But yeah, there's no video footage. The only video footage that is available doesn't show a plane.
It actually does. I mean, if you look at it...
It'd be a very, very small plane.
If you look at it very closely and you take a model of a 767 and you reduce it to scale, you will see that it fits pretty much perfectly with the image, even if it's vague.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it hits the wrong place anyway, doesn't it?
It does.
The impact's in the wrong place, yeah. I noticed that. So, well, if that's what it was, you see that piece of evidence you're saying looks like a plane, to me... isn't a plane. It really isn't. It isn't. But it definitely isn't the thing that caused the explosion that we've seen.
What about the passengers then? I mean, they disappeared.
It would have been fire, wouldn't they? So you wouldn't have had like...
They actually have recordings of phone calls that were made from those planes that are very well documented. They can't be faked because they were actually from the cell phones belonging to those people.
I've actually got two telephone calls. One from Jesus of Nazareth. Have you heard of him? He actually spoke to me through the transdimensional...
That is not an argument. Come on.
No, exactly. It's not an argument. You know, a telephone call, conversation with someone, it could be...
The phone calls were very well documented, though, and it shows that those phone calls actually came from the cell phones of the people whom they belong to. So, unless you think the people who received the calls were deceived by actors,
you give me your
they couldn't recognize the people they loved.
If you give me your cell phone number, I can make a cell phone call to someone else, and your number will be displayed.
Yeah, but I highly doubt that you could act so well that even my mother couldn't recognize who I am.
No, I would just take this audio, slice it together, and play it.
Come on now, come on.
Telling you what I would do it, how I would do it. Okay, you asked me, and I'm saying how I would do it. I would block Ableton. I would have the samples of your voice on Ableton in front of me on the screen. Would be every word, and as I pressed the buttons, it would speak your words. Simple. Right. Really simple. I could do that here quite easily.
I'm just going to say that it's not very light.
I would need the launch pad to do it. I have the software, but I don't have the launch pad currently. So you can only hit one at one. Yeah, you should be able to do it without the launch pad.
Have you ever tried having a conversation with a soundboard? It doesn't sound natural. I mean, come on.
Have to, would it? Because the people were terrified, you know, they were scared. I mean, you know, it wouldn't. So, I mean, I'm only playing devil's advocate. You know, you're asking me how I would do that, and could it be done? And yes, it could be done. If it was, I don't think it personally was. All I'm saying is that the evidence that what you're using is at best, you know, not very sound. It could have been coerced, you know, and I think the people who go down everything's a conspiracy and there's a man behind the curtain going to jump out and get you, boo, people are going to take that apart because, you know, in all fairness, then that isn't really very strong evidence to prove that 9/11 wasn't actually known about by the government, at least that they didn't have some action, and you know. In all fairness, if you know about these things and you don't have any action, then they are as guilty as charged.
All right, so we've had some questions from the chat regarding Building 7 and how that happened. Sean?
Sure, we can talk a bit about that. Well, I think the most common claim I've seen about that is that how could the building actually collapse if no plane hit it? And if you look at the data, you can see that clearly the building withstood a lot of damage from the falling debris. The tower was about 1,300 feet high, and the building was 400 feet away from the towers, so it did have a lot of debris fall on it. In the conspiracy theory videos, what you don't see is the south side of the building, who sustained heavy damage. And it took a few hours before it collapsed, but you can see that the damage is pretty much consistent with the collapse. I'm going to find a few pictures for you guys to support what I'm saying, I guess. But I think it was clearly debris that fell from the towers that caused it. Here is I put it in the chat. Here's a picture of the building from the south side. You can see the damage is quite heavy. And I have here a video of the south side where you can see there's a huge rip in the building, and it was probably the rip that caused the main column to collapse, which caused the rest of the building to collapse in such a fashion. It's explained a bit more at length in a structure mag issue that was in 2007. Those are experts in architecture. They went at lengths to explain how the building 7 collapsed. Most people haven't seen this article for some reason. I don't know, but it's pretty well explained, and I would recommend that everybody reads it.
Very good. And let's just recap. We still want callers, desperately want callers. So please Skype Bob's Backyard or call on the landline, +44 161 298 0298.
Have you seen the photograph, Richard, that's been posted by Rabbit? It's a 767 engine with a person. You can see that there's a little bit of a size discrepancy between the earlier photograph you posted and the one that's been posted today.
I'm sorry, what? Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, in the chat room, there's a photograph been posted in response to your picture of what you were saying. It was engines at the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. There's one been posted. And now that's either got a very, very tiny person studying them.
Yeah, but you realize that the person is standing at the complete other end of the engine, and the picture I posted was the actual turbine. You can actually see it behind the person, and it's much smaller. I mean, in the same picture.
It really isn't that, I mean...
No, but that's a bit conceited. Come on. It's not even the same part we're talking about. So I think that picture is pretty much irrelevant.
It is a little bit, yeah. I mean, it is a little bit, I grant you, but it's the component parts again aren't the right size. That's I think what's being suggested there. Like I say, have you taken measurements to that to verify that that's what the evidence is? You know what I mean? I'm not putting you to question here. But
no, I get it. I get it completely. But I admit that I haven't measured that because it's pretty interesting as a claim, but I haven't explored it yet, so I wouldn't have strong arguments against it, I guess. But I will look into it, definitely.
So, Den in the chat asked, why didn't the south side fall first and leave the north side standing? And I guess he's talking about Building 7?
I don't think the north side was left standing.
No, but he said, why did the south side not fall first and not leave the north side standing if the south side was so heavily damaged and the north side wasn't?
Well, mostly because most of the damage was to the main column. So it took a while for the column to actually collapse. So that's what was maintaining the whole building together. When the column actually collapsed, the rest of the building followed. And when you watch videos of it, you can actually see that the penthouse collapses before the rest of the building, and that's evidence that supports this. So,
but I think he was talking about Building 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
How would you feel about the BBC reporting it 45 minutes, especially after they've been caught just recently again
Well, I think that evidently everyone knew that the building was about to collapse hours before it actually collapsed. They were talking about it on many networks that the building was supposed to collapse soon because there was heavy damage to it. And everyone knew it was about to happen. And I think they just reported on it too soon because I don't see evidence of a conspiracy there. I mean, if it was really an inside job, why in the hell would they warn media about it in advance and actually tell them to do stuff like that? I mean, wouldn't it that make just them easier to catch?
Well, yeah, of course, unless it was a media circus. Unless that's what its intention was, to pull hundreds of thousands of people into this media extravaganza.
But that makes the number of people who have to lie much, much larger and less likely.
You know, we had a conversation a while ago. Like I say, I remember the International Missile Treaty and that it didn't get signed.
Right.
Alaska. Did you actually look into that information?
I haven't had time to look into it. I must admit, but I did see a lot of treaties that were signed by the U.S. though.
Yeah. But the one that wasn't, you see what I mean? It's those are the ones. That's the thing there. You see, for me, it's not what did occur. It's what didn't occur. Are you with me? What else has happened? You know, Kit made the point earlier that, you know, whatever did happen at 9/11, what has actually gone on then in the name of 9/11 has been an atrocity, and that was carried out. That has been carried out by the governments.
Sure, I completely agree
that would be most definitely an inside job by any stretch of the imagination.
I agree that the fact they used the tragedy to push their agenda and go into Iraq is very, very evil at best, but I just don't think they caused 9/11, you know?
No, well, I thought the topic was, you know, 9/11 inside job, you know, and I thought that's what the debate was about, you know, are the governments actually capable of taking any situation? I mean, okay, whether or not they created this situation, I suppose is going to stay on the bench for eternity. It will be who shot Kennedy, won't it? So it'll stay there forever. I don't suppose we'll ever know. But I see quite clearly that the governments are quite, well, have freely lied and cheated regarding the events since 9/11 up to the present day where we are. We can now see that they are capable of far greater atrocities than killing 3,000 Americans of their own American people. You know, they're capable of doing far worse things than this. And we now know this without any doubt. So
well, we already knew this. I mean, there was Nixon and Cambodia, and I mean, the governments lied all over throughout history.
Yes.
But I don't think that it's evidence that there's a giant conspiracy by the Illuminati to get us all.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
I just said, you know, are the American, in this case, 9/11, do the American government actually create inside jobs? Do they create jobs on the inside? Yes, they do. Of course they do. And that's what they did. They took the
but do they carry out false flags operation against their own people would be the question, I guess, and I don't think they do.
Well, what was the war in Iran and the war in Iraq? And aren't they false flags? And hasn't that put American people under threat?
I don't think so.
Well, what about the soldiers who were there fighting? Are they not Americans?
Yeah, but how is that a false flag? Do you know the definition of a false flag?
Well, you know, it's to what? Go to war under a false reason?
No. That's not at all what it is. A false flag. No, I'm just going to try to define it for you.
I was looking at the evidence, you say. I'm just, you know, because I really don't know. You'll have to excuse me. I'm just looking at the evidence, and the evidence is that the people who are giving you the information are lying, cheating scum. And they've been proven to be lying, cheating scum.
Okay, but you assume that I get my information from them. That's the problem. No. I don't. I really don't. I try to look up independent sources. I don't ask George Bush about 9/11. I know he's gonna lie to me. I mean, I'm not stupid.
You see, to me, the scenario is, we've got a repeated paedophile that's left in a room with a child, and we've come back and the child's been abused. And we're arguing that the paedophile didn't do it. That there's no one else in the room.
No, actually, there were cameras filming what happened on 9/11. The whole world seen what happened. And there were countless studies about what happened. It's really, really different. And there's a lot of evidence that support the fact that it was actually terrorists who flew planes into that building. Why you choose to ignore that evidence, I don't know, but we disagree on that fundamentally. But
I'm not ignoring that evidence. I'm not disputing that was evidence that was put forward. I'm not disputing that. But where did that evidence come from?
Well, most of it came from independent studies. Most of it came from independent studies. I mean, I posted a link from Structure Mag, which is a very reputed architect magazine. They did a very, very in-depth study about how Building 7 collapsed, and they don't have any government links. So the facts don't come just from government. You know what I'm saying? Some people are just skeptical of it, and some people actually have a good argument to be skeptical of it, the conspiracy story.
I thought my argument was quite good, really. I mean, what are we looking at? I mean, are the people who are being accused, I presume it's the government who actually, that's the accusers, yeah? The people who are being accused here by the 9/11 conspiracy people, and they're saying, look, the government are guilty of conspiracy. Yeah, and you're the defendant, you see, not defendant, you're the defense, and you're saying, no, my client, the government doesn't do this.
No, what I'm arguing is they were too incompetent.
I'm prosecuting now, you see, and the jury is in the chat room. Right.
Yeah, well, I see what you mean, but I'm not on the government side. That's a misconception. I'd like to clear that up. I'm really not defending the actions of George Bush and his administration after the 9/11 attacks.
Defending them.
I'm sorry, what?
Who are you defending?
No, it's not as black and white as that, you see. There's a lot of gray areas there. I mean, I don't agree with how they acted after the attacks, but I just don't think they were competent enough to actually cause them. I mean, it would require an incredible amount of organization and...
if you... Let's take my room with the paedophile, okay? If you knew... Okay? If you knew the man was a repeated... I shouldn't say man, really, should I? Let me take that away. Why do they always presume it's a man? If you knew there was a sex offender... Okay, repeated sex offender over and over again, and you left the child with them, would you consider yourself to be somewhat responsible?
Well, has George Bush actually been proven guilty of any terrorist attack?
I'm not saying he did. That's not what I said.
Oh, but you're bringing up an example that has nothing to do with the actual situation.
I'm just saying it out now. We are back on air now.
Yay! So Jen in the chat had an interesting point. She says, "I just find it interesting how people say how dumb our government is, but then will turn around and say that they could pull something like 9/11 off. You can't have it both ways. Either our government is retarded or it's fucking brilliant." And I tend to agree with that.
And I think it's more likely than government is retarded. They've shown over and over that they are. So I could actually bring up your sex offender argument there, because they have been repeatedly proven to be incompetent and not even able to cover up simple things. So how could they actually cover up such a big and complex plan?
Yeah, quite easily, really. They've done it all over the rest of the world. That's one of the reasons why certain groups of your namesakes, anonymous, have done everything they can to get media streams in. So we can actually see without
teenagers
actually going on around the world.
Teenagers who hang out on the internet manage to expose them, and you're saying they are good at hiding out and actually covering up?
I think you find teenagers on the internet expose what you defended, I suppose, or not really defending, but attacking the people who are saying it's a conspiracy and the government did it. Like I say, I'm not either of them. I'm not either of them. I'm really
no, I get that.
But, I do get the point. Which way is it? Are they stupid or are they clever? Are they clever enough to still be your government and stupid enough not to be able to do it? I mean, it's a damn good point. It really is a good point. You see, because to me, they did know about these so-called terror attacks before they took place.
Well, yeah, there were warnings.
Do anything about it? They
No,
could have done something, and they didn't.
There was actually a report that came out from the FBI that was actually named Osama bin Laden determined to fly planes into the World Trade Center. So they did know in advance. The problem is that there was a huge lack of communication. And the way intelligence works is that they get a shit ton of reports every day, right? And they can't actually take them all seriously. And what happened is that this report was not taken as seriously as it should have been. That is clearly a mistake on their part. And they actually took a lot of procedures to actually correct that afterwards, which is why they have now joint commands of various groups like the CIA, the NSA, and FBI. They actually tried to fix what they did wrong with that afterwards, but that was mostly due to a clear lack of communication and people not taking the threat as seriously as it should have been taken, at least in my opinion.
So in your opinion, who carried out 9/11? Who outwitted the mind of the American military machine?
I'm sorry, what?
Who managed to outwit the might of the American military machine on 9/11?
Well, a really, really well-organized group of people, actually. They were not people hiding in caves with box cutters like I heard so many times. For example, Osama bin Laden did to the engineering at the same time the World Trade Center was being built, and he studied it in the United States. The guy was a very, very, very smart guy.
I know he's a very intelligent man. A very intelligent man, yeah. Originally, he went on the terrorist list for hacking.
Yes.
So yeah, he's, just let's get this right. You know what I mean? He was an hacker.
Yep.
He didn't kill anybody. You know, he shut down, as far as my memory serves me, and it is my memory here, he shut down air traffic control computers. Shut down.
He did participate. He did participate in the USS Cole bombing and the first World Trade Center bombing as well.
After he'd been put on the terrorist list.
Yes.
Right, so hang on a minute. So after the death penalty's been put on him, torture and then death penalty, hunting down all his family, all his funds have been stolen, he actually retaliates. Is that right?
Yeah, he got pissed. I mean,
well, this one man, Bin Laden, one man, right?
Well, it wasn't really one man.
It's the story's a bit hard for me to get, man. I'm willing to listen to it, but you're going to have to convince me. You know, because I mean, as far as I got it, that they were with box cutters on a plane. They overpowered all those people.
Okay, well, I'm just going to mention one thing here.
Technology I'm not aware of.
Well, the thing is, the policy on planes at that time, before 9/11, because things were very different back then, the policy on planes was that if you have a hijacking, the pilots were instructed to do pretty much the same as bankers would do in a bank raid. So they would have to actually follow the instructions given by the hijackers, no matter what, because 100% of the hijackings that happened in the past before 9/11 were done by people who actually asked them to land somewhere else so they could make demands and take people hostage. That case was very, very different, and since then a lot of things have changed. The pilots are actually ordered to not even open the door to anyone else than staff, and so the situation is a bit different. All they had is box cutters, yes, but they could have pretended they have a bomb, or they could have used many arguments to keep people in place.
Yeah, that's a good argument, man. I'll give you that. Yeah, they could have done the. I'll accept that. That was a good argument.
Thank you.
No, it's fine. Yeah. So it couldn't, but they haven't kind of revealed all that. They kind of put it out to the general public that they did it with box cutters. Now, how would you feel about some of the people that are actually on the list of terrorists that have been on the planes? The allegations that some of them are still alive.
I haven't seen any evidence of that, and actually they did find passports of those people. I know that's an argument that most people will say, well, how did they find a passport and all those debris? But it happened a lot in other disasters in the past.
It surprised you to know that there's one that lives in the city of Manchester, and he's actually still on the list as being wanted. He's never been outside the UK, ever, in his life, although he did have a passport.
He's considered a hijacker?
Yes. And he's alive. And he's still wanted. I mean, how can you still be wanted, right, if you died in the plane crash?
I really don't.
Maybe it's just the incompetent government again.
Well, I haven't seen any evidence of that. So if you could provide me with some, I would really appreciate it. But
I want you down. Nigel on the Pax Monday show. If you contact Nigel Rawlins, he does the Pax Monday show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll really fill you in on it. Yeah, he will. Nigel keeps me informed on that. So yeah, Nigel will tell you about that one.
All right, just before the break, I have a nice little conspiracy for you. I think that the reason that we can't carry liquids on board the planes is not because of potential hydrogen peroxide bombs or whatever it is they're afraid of. I think it's a nasty trick to make us buy water in the airports. What do you think, Bob?
I totally agree. 100%, totally and absolutely agree. Ridiculous. I can't remember what airport I was in now. But I bought a coffee. It was a glass screen, and there's a coffee vendor, official thing. And I bought it, and I walked through a turnstile. There's a man with, when I give me ticket, right at the side of it. So I've got my coffee, and he's watched me get my coffee, and I'm doing my ticket, and they've let me go through, and then they check your hand luggage. And then I'm waiting to get on the plane. And he said, you can't bring the coffee in. I said, you are kidding me. I've bought it. You can't bring it in here. You can't take it on the plane. It was just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It really is. Body scanning and underpants checking, and come on.
Actually, I have to say that the only airport that did it right was one of your airports. It was Heathrow. They have a little sink where you can empty your water bottle before you go in the security check, and another sink at the other end where you can refill it.
Yeah, we call them the toilets.
Oh, no. These are just standing right before and right after the security check-in. Just sinks standing there.
Yeah.
And it's quite good. More airports should do that, because water is fucking expensive in an airport.
It is ludicrous, isn't it? Absolutely ludicrous. So yeah, is there a conspiracy? Yeah, they've done it again, haven't they? They've took a tragedy or a disaster or whatever you're going to call it, the loss and injury of others, and they've benefited out of it financially, Kit. I think you're right.
I'm just going to bring back quickly the still alive people you mentioned earlier. I was Googling it while you were talking.
Yes, and, I did earlier on. Yes.
I found that the most likely explanation, at least I'm looking at stuff right now. I don't have all the information. I'll admit that, but the most likely explanation could be that those people who are still alive were just mistaken identities. Because I've seen documentation, I have it in front of me right now, that Saudi Arabia actually acknowledged that the 15 of the hijackers were actually their citizens and that they are dead. So I think it was a case of mistaken identities, people who maybe had the same name.
Yeah, perhaps, yes. You could be right again. Yeah. Like I say, it needs to be checked, though.
Yeah, it does.
As far as I'm aware, and like I say, I could be wrong in this. I'm not learned in it. Far from it. He's still alive, and he's still wanted for being one of the idols on that plane.
Well, if you find his name, I would love to look into that. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, but they have babies on the no-fly list as well. It's completely ridiculous with the whole name, the whole mistaken identity thing. They're really erring on the side of caution there.
I seem to be immune to customs now. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I've actually been through Sydney Airport and not been stopped by the customs. Seriously, walked straight through. So I think I've become immune. Coming back in recently with Susan, who's Australian, coming back into the UK, and she has to get a visa stamp. I was thrown out. Thrown in to the country. I was thrown into Britain. Get in? Because I was kicking off.
Are you a wizard?
No. I had 2 kilos of tobacco in my laptop bag. I don't want to be thrown out. Yeah.
That sounds legit.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we usually have a jingle break around now?
No, I can stop it and start it whenever you require it, because Richard was doing his own. So.
Oh, right. A jingle break would be great right now.
Well, I'm gonna go with a song then.
Okay, go with the song.
All right.
As we proceed to give you what you need.
And we're back.
Yay! And
Yay.
I would just like to say again, please do call us on Skype, Bob's Backyard, or the landline, +44 161 298 0298.
Yes, everyone is welcome. And I will mention it on air as well. I'm very thankful for Bob participating in the debate, because we were out of debaters. So thank you for that, sir.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I often play the devil's advocate.
Awesome.
It's because the devil's got a very, very squeaky voice. No one would ever take him seriously.
I can imagine that. So I'm just going to look quickly at the questions that were asked in the chat room, because it seems that a lot is going on in there that I'm missing right now.
Actually, Sean, they're mostly horsing around right now, but I was thinking if you could explain a little bit about the free fall theory.
Oh, the free fall theory. Well, are we talking about the 2 towers or the building 7 here?
The 2 towers, I believe.
Okay, well, that one is pretty easily disprovable, because if you look at pretty much every single video of the Twin Towers falling, you can see that the steel beams actually fall faster than the rest of the building. So unless they actually put rockets on those beams, it's not really free fall. I mean, you just have to look at the video to see it.
Right, but it's one of those arguments that I used a lot, that they timed it on the video, and it seems like everything falls at free fall speed, but in reality it really isn't. But do we know if it would fall at free fall speed at controlled demolition?
Actually, I think it would. I'm not an expert in demolition, but yes, I think that if it was actually controlled demolition, it would fall at free fall speed. I'm not sure about that 100% though. But I don't think the controlled demolition theory would be very, very likely, because it would take pretty much around 72 days for a team of about 30 people to actually plant enough explosives to bring those buildings down. And it's kind of hard to do that without being noticed. So I just think it's not a very likely explanation.
One that actually captivated myself was actually building number 7. Not so much that the BBC lied, because that's what the BBC do, you see. Again, the evidence of the BBC reporting it 45 minutes early.
Everyone knew it was going to
flawed.
collapse.
It's
I mean,
flawed because with the BBC are lying, cheating scum. So, hey, we can't really...
Yes, but everyone knew that the building was going to collapse. It was not a secret.
No, that
it was common knowledge.
You've jumped on the point too early, Richard.
Yes.
It is the video of the building number 7 actually collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the wording was they're going to pull it.
Yes.
And then I've seen a couple of controlled demolitions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I was convinced that it just looks like a controlled demolition. It doesn't look like it's collapsed. And I mean, I've heard the arguments that it was caused by damage to one side of it. But again, man, I mean, if you would have shown me them pictures,
I did.
A series of controlled demolitions, I couldn't have picked that one out as not being.
Well, because neither of us are demolition experts, but I'm just gonna come back on your comment. You said they use the wording "pull it," and that's a claim I hear often, and I think I can actually answer. The thing.
Why they use that word? Yeah, I already know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking to a fireman when he used that term, not a demolition expert. So, and that's very well documented. And in the firefighting community, the terms "pull it" means pulling out the people.
Also,
so
in the VT community, video editing community, it means they're not going to be playing it. They're going to pull it. They're cutting it.
Yeah, I guess so, but he was talking to a fireman chief, so in that context, he was asking the fireman to pull his guys out because it was too dangerous, and that's actually pretty well documented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, either way, on either side of it, like I say, the evidence, as far as I'm concerned, wouldn't be admissible in my court because it's being given to us by lying, cheating, thieving scum, So,
well, it was Larry Silverstein. I mean, I don't think it was.
No, excuse me. The BBC. You see,
right.
I'm not disputing what you're saying on your side of it. What we were told
right.
here. You see, that's the difficulty. Although it was, I suppose, on one side of it, a good bit of evidence. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the evidence comes from lying, cheating, thieving scum.
Well, you're acting as if the BBC was the only media reporting on it. And
no,
I didn't even follow the BBC at the time.
The BBC were the only media that reported it 45 minutes before it happened.
Yes, but everyone was aware that it was going to collapse, so I don't see exactly what that proves.
No, neither do I now. I'm saying that for me, and even if it did prove something, the evidence that we've got has come from the lying, cheating, thieving scum. So hey. We're not going to take that,
Yeah, but that doesn't prove anything, though. I get your point. But I don't think we can consider it evidence.
The video footage of building number 7, which remarkably to myself and to everybody else that I know of, and a couple of them are actually people who have worked in controlled demolition. They can't distinguish it between.
Actually, if you look at I was going to say demolition. How fun is that?
Yeah.
But if you look at the video from another angle, you can see that the building actually tilts a lot to the north while it collapses. And if you look at the pile of debris, once it has collapsed, there was debris even on the other side of the street. Some debris fell on other buildings. So it didn't really fall into its own footprint.
No, it didn't completely fall into its own footprint, but neither does a controlled demolition.
Well, actually, a controlled demolition most of the time will fall into its own
perfectly, given the perfect environment. But I mean, if you've got fires going and stuff like that, then it's not going to be a perfect. And very few of them are. They don't actually ever fall directly in their own footprint, ever. None of them do.
So
right.
Jen is asking a really interesting question. On the video that she's watching, one of the people asked, why is the U.S. still allowing steel buildings to be built if they can't withstand this? Why are they not picking a better material to withstand it?
They're building with cheese now. The United States of America. They're building with cheese and this new earth that swallows planes. apparently.
Well, I think the event was quite unique. I don't think that planes flying into buildings happen like on a daily basis, and I think that steel is a very reliable material. So, I mean, they couldn't actually change everything, and I am not sure they could find a better material or a cheaper one in some cases. So that is the most likely explanation for me, at least.
So, have you been confronted with the 4 crash sites, 3 missing planes?
4 crash sites? No, I must admit that's the first time I hear this one.
Right.
Care to elaborate?
Well, no, that's all I've got at the moment. 4 crash sites, 3 missing.
HM in the chat is asking.
No, like I say, I'm not learned in this at all. I'm getting things going at me through Skype.
HM is asking, why would a government agency planning to ensure deconstruction make it look like a good controlled demolition? They'd make it sloppy.
That's a fair point.
The video argument, you see, is I wouldn't dispute that the building didn't fall in its own footprint. Building number 7, Richard. Mm-hmm. However, from all angles, it does appear, and it cannot be distinguished from a controlled demolition.
Well,
that's the bit that gets me. I mean, I've tried to look at it, objectively as best I can, but well, yeah, it doesn't matter what angle you look from it. I know, like you're saying, well, it didn't fall, it wasn't perfect. Fine, it wasn't perfect, but there doesn't seem to be any picture that doesn't look like it. Maybe the fire brigade did run in there and plant charges or something. I mean, I really don't know,
Well, the thing is, the most well-documented explanation was the one I mentioned earlier from Structure Mag, the architects who actually investigated it and put out a report about it. Their claim is that what happened is the main column actually did not sustain the damage, and the main column actually collapsed. The thing is, the main column was pretty much at the center of the building, so the way that column would collapse would make it look like very much like a controlled demolition. So I would agree.
The other way around. You've got your mathematics the other way around. I mean, really, that's really.
How so? I mean, it's the main column. If the main column collapses, the rest of the building follows, and it looks like a controlled demolition, but that doesn't mean it is.
Right, but if if the damage was to one side, that's a circular logic. You can't argue that one side of the building was damaged, that's why it fell in that direction, and then in the same argument say, well, it was because the middle fell.
No. I said earlier that one side of the building was more damaged. I didn't say that's why it fell in to one direction.
Right. So the piece.
What I said is that it's from that side that the main column was damaged.
You're saying the main column was damaged?
Yes, it was, clearly, and there's a lot of evidence about that. Right. But I'm saying that the south side is where the damage was actually caused.
So. Okay, the last building argument I think that I can recall is, why would you say these events have only ever took place in the United States of America, and that these events have never been able to be repeated, even though there have been subsequent similar occurrences? Why it's only ever occurred in the United States, never anywhere else?
You mean events like...
Well, all in the same event. The majority of a plane disappears. Okay?
Well, are you familiar with impact and explosions?
Collapse, because they're hit by planes, when this has happened and it hasn't, and they're designed to do it. A third building... appears to just mysteriously collapse. And I know you say there is some argument for that, but again, all the arguments, they've only ever occurred in America. That's never happened anywhere else on Earth.
Well, it all happened on the same day. I mean, it was a unique event. I'll give you that, but
each of those events have never ever happened anywhere else on Earth.
Well, no, but planes were never ever flown into large buildings ever in history before either.
They have been blown up and landed out in fields, haven't they?
I'm sorry, what?
They have been blown up and landed out in fields.
Sure.
Yes, and that was nothing like it at all. A bit of scarred, burnt grass, if that.
Well, the conditions were quite different, but
Dad, come on, what did they do? Vaporize it? What? Come on, be realistic. Well, you're jumping into the realms of fiction now. You can't tell me that the United States of America have got vaporizing technology, and this man who lives in a cave using the internet over the CIA's wireless satellite network orchestrated it all. Because if he did...
Well, the thing with Flight 93, though, is that debris was found where, there was farmland.
Richard, if he did do it, then he used the CIA's owned satellite to do it.
Yeah, but I will try to finish my answer. I was saying that the conditions were different, in the sense that the plane was very high in the sky, going at high speed when it was actually crashed. And what happened is that there are parts that have been found, but they were scattered. They were scattered. There is all over. I'd like to finish, please. They were scattered all over.
Hang on a minute. Where was this information? Where's this evidence that his plane was at high altitude when he was hit?
All I'm saying is that what happened is they found parts of the plane scattered all over, which would evidence that the plane actually started crashing at high altitude and at high speed. And when it did crash, the parts probably spread out due to the impact. I mean, I'm not a physicist, but...
Yeah, like it did at Lockerbie, yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Like Lockerbie?
Yeah, I guess so. It's different, though.
Yeah, literally, it'd be everywhere. You're quite right. I mean, it'd be everywhere. It just comes raining down from the sky.
No, I didn't say it came from the sky, but on impact, the plane was going at high speed, and it didn't have a building to stop it. So yes,
the field, the one that landed in the field.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about, Flight 93.
Yeah,
and they did find engine parts and fields all around the place.
Oh, they did, but no,
yes, they did.
It was blew up in the sky. Then that's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
All right, excuse me. What is it you're saying? I've got a bit...
I'm saying, I am sorry. I probably wasn't clear enough. That's probably my fault. But what I'm trying to say is that the plane was going at very high speed when it crashed.
Right.
And,
okay.
It didn't have any building to stop it on impact. So
it was
that's
swallowed
why.
by the ground, yeah?
No, not swallowed by the ground, but the pieces were blown apart. If you let me finish, you will probably listen to my answer.
Any sense, bro? I can't. It doesn't matter how many times you talk round in that circle. Where's the impact? You can't have it going at high altitude, exploding, but not exploding.
Okay, what about the engine part they found 300 yards away from the main crash site? What do you got to say about
a similar crash site? Have you seen all the other crash sites?
No, I'm not asking you to respond to me with a question. I'm asking what about the engine that was found 300 yards from the main crash site? What do you have to say about that engine? If there were no parts.
It's a very different crash site than any other I've ever seen.
Yes, it surely is.
Like both of the buildings falling over, and like the other crash sites, they are completely and utterly unique events, which hopefully, otherwise we have to change all our engineering principles.
Well, there would be examples like American Airlines Flight 587 that crashed in New York in November 2001. Actually, the engines separated from the aircraft seconds before the ground impact, and they were found several blocks away from the wreckage site. There are examples. You probably just didn't look for them.
Well, the fuselage didn't disappear as well. They
disappeared. There's a huge impact. Yeah. Shit breaks into tiny pieces. That's common sense.
Yeah, nowhere on Earth have we lost 4 planes completely almost. I mean, you can't assemble...
Yes, that was a unique event, but what does that prove? I mean,
and that other events, very similar, have actually took place on a regular occurrence.
Really?
Yeah, using, was it the Patriot missile? Is it the Patriot missile that was?
I would like to hear which plane that was hijacked was actually
No, not
crashed.
planes. The remote-controlled missiles.
How is it similar then? It's not even a plane.
Little wings on them.
It's not even a plane. It's
No,
not the same thing. It's
it's
not the same thing, sir. I'm sorry.
The impacts of these devices are remarkably similar.
It's not the same size. It's not the same design. It's completely different. I mean, it's like comparing oranges with pineapples.
Argument, not my argument. You remember, not my argument. Don't make it personal for me.
Oh, I just get heated, but don't take it personally either. But what I'm saying is that it's you're comparing oranges with pineapples, and that just doesn't work.
No, I totally agree with you. You know that's what I'm saying. My point here is that these events have only happened in America, you know, and they're completely unique to America. And you know, it's never happened anywhere else in the world. And the explanations that are being given for it are pretty much American.
Sure. It happened in America. The explanations are American.
Yeah,
I don't see the problem.
Ideology and American physics will actually judge what happened there, regardless of what the rest of the world considers.
Well, there were international experts who looked at...
Although the impact of 9/11 now has been felt all around the world.
Sure. I won't disagree with that.
And the same people were still arguing over something, or not me and you, debating, because I'm definitely playing devil's advocate to what I consider to be one of the largest psyopses. I think 9/11 personally was organised so hundreds of thousands of people would waste their time on debating something that would get them absolutely nowhere. Even if we know, what good will it do us? A witch hunt?
I just have a knack for trying to find evidence that supports claims. I like to find truth, so you could call me a truther, I guess, but not in the sense of a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying it's useful or that it will solve anything, but I like to explore these things and try to answer them.
Yeah, I don't see how defending a position actually answers the question.
I'm not defending a position. I'm saying that I came to this conclusion after the research I have done.
Yeah. So if there was surviving members, okay, if there was somebody still actually on the wanted list by the United States authorities for being a terrorist on one of the planes that hit and I'll be specific, it was one of the towers. That's the story I remember. Okay, so like say if it was mistaken identity, then fine. But if it isn't, then that would be new evidence, wouldn't it? And if there's actually only 3 missing planes and 4 crash sites, that would be new evidence. And if that object you're saying is an engine isn't the right physical size, then that would be new evidence. You see, what I've noticed within all these psyopses is that individuals that get pulled into them, normally very good-hearted, good-intentioned individuals, end up defending a position.
The thing is, with the engine thing you told me earlier, is that the size of the engine is pretty much consistent from what I can tell. I mean, you didn't bring me any argument that was really convincing. What you showed me is a picture of someone at the other...
Have you measured?
Is it possible to talk without you interrupting me, please?
I'm trying to say I'm saying things I'm not.
It's really hard to make an argument when you can't finish a sentence.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm debating with you. I'm
yes.
devil's advocate. That's all.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is that earlier you showed me a picture of someone at the other end of the engine, which is clearly larger.
Chat room. So you're doing it again. I didn't show you that picture. It came from the chat room.
Yes, but you brought it up as well. Anyway, my point is that the part that is the turbine seems to be pretty consistent with the size of turbine on a 767. I'm gonna really look it up to be sure about it, but it does seem to be consistent. And if it's not where did that turbine came from? Where did the other easily identifiable plane parts come from? Where did the body parts come from? That's what I'm wondering about. Like, you seem to be cherry picking some information to fit a certain theory, but ignoring other information that could contradict it. That's what I'm trying to understand, really.
No, everybody else is just saying they can't be asked debating 9/11 any longer. I was just kind of trying to help out, man. My apologies.
So, okay. That doesn't answer my questions, but all right.
I'm not qualified to answer any of your questions. I really am not. Like I say, I made that quite clear from the onset. I have done the research.
Well, you claim to be an engineer and know about this stuff, so I thought you were qualified.
I said I was a toolmaker, an engineer. Okay. Again, you jump to conclusion. Okay? I'm not here for an argument with you. I was here to play devil's advocate and put forward these things. So, you know, to the people in the chat room, he will measure that and he'll make sure it's right. I'm sure he'll look at the other information as well. Yeah, I'm sure Richard will do that. You know?
Well, anyway, I would like to continue the debate, but I think we pretty much went around everything. And
I agree.
I would like Kit to maybe participate a bit more. Wink, wink.
Well, it's hard to get a word in edgewise between the two of you, so...
Fair enough.
Oh, I'm good. I'm saying no more.
Right, so should we call it a wrap, Sean?
Sure, sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you very, very much for helping us out, Bob.
Yeah, it's appreciated. I get angry sometimes when I debate, but it's all in good fun, and I really appreciate that you participated. I think he went quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I was just waiting for you to finish, that's all.
Okay.
When you're done, I'll stop it. Are you done?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, it's Rupert. And when I get done with a full day of smoking crack and drinking my own urine, I like to relax by listening to The Dark City, right here on the one and only